It's time for Behind the Hits, where great country songwriters talk about great country songs. On today's Best Country, proudly broadcasting on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager, and this week on the show, well, this is cool.
My baby is American made. She don't tell me to. The Southern
Our guest this week has been writing hit songs for going on 3 decades now. He's been inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. He's been a Songwriter of the Year, and rumor has it he still puts his pants on one leg at a time. I caught up with Bob Dipiero at the offices of Love Monkey Music on Music Row. Are you the Love Monkey?
I am the supreme. Unfortunately and fortunately, I'm the supreme love monkey. Don't ask why. Very long, twisted reason why, but it's stuck. So this is a company I have partners with Sony. So we've been up and at them for about 10 years now.
You might need a category all to yourself. You've had just a really, really great run of hits over the years. In fact, I was checking out your website, lovemonkeymusic.com, and you know, a lot of songwriters will have different accolades, different awards, different number ones, and things like that. On one page, yours are categorized by the year because none of those, it's not all going to fit on one page.
Yeah, I've had a very fruitful career so far, you know, and I'm just happy that it is continuing and that I am still enjoying it and I'm still relevant and I just love to do it. I love to do it so much that I do it too much.
Let's go all the way back to the Oak Ridge Boys. Now, was that your first number one?
Yes, it was. It
American Made.
American Made was my first number one.
How long had you been writing when you wrote that one?
Well, you know, I'd been, quote unquote, officially writing, you know, having actually a publishing deal where someone was actually betting on me that I could write songs that were commercially viable. Sure. Maybe a couple years, you know, but I'd always, like any other musician of my time, playing in a rock and roll band, you know, I was always unconsciously kind of writing songs, but during this period of time that American Made got written, I mean, I was really focusing on trying to write something commercial, whatever that meant. I wasn't even sure what that meant, but I kept hearing, write something commercial, you know, so a title just came to my mind, and I remember my first top 20 hit or song was a song that Reba McEntire recorded, like maybe her second single. And I remember getting a check for that song. It's called I Can See Forever in Your Eyes. And, you know, I was making $75 a week, so I get this big check in the mail. So I went out and spent every penny of it, you know, bought televisions, bought a movie camera, everything some whacked out songwriter or musician would do. I went, what do I have? I need this, I need this. And then I realized I hadn't paid my taxes, you know, and so I guess I better write another song. I was kind of thinking, and I started thinking about all the stuff I'd bought.
Right.
You know, I got a Nikon camera, I got a color TV, but and that's kind of how the germ of that song came about.
Seems everything I buy these days has got a foreign name. My baby is American made, born and bred in the USA.
The Oak Ridge Boys and American Made, a big hit from 1983, and the first number one song for my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero.
Yeah, it's still, to this day, one of my biggest songs.
Well, you know, and you were talking about being able to do it commercially. Talk about the quintessential commercial song, because that one was all over the TV and radio with that ad campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it was the trifecta. It was really more like winning the lottery versus having a hit song because the Miller Brewing Company at that time decided to use American Made for their Miller beer ad. You know, Miller's Made the American Way. So it was a very big deal. It ran for like 3 years, and that was my ticket into the game. And I felt, okay, I can do this now, and it kind of really gave me a lot of confidence.
Now, was it a surprise to you? Were you business savvy enough at that point to realize the potential income from advertising residuals?
Not really, because truthfully, this was new ground. I mean, up to this point, if I'm not mistaken, most songs that were then used as ads were just paid one lump sum. All right, we're going to use one of the Beatles songs, and we're going to pay them X amount of dollars.
Right.
And then that's that. We might use it for 2 years. We might use it for 3 years. We might use it for 5 years. But this is the first time a song was treated as a song and not just a quote-unquote jingle. So every time it got played, we got paid. And every year there was a bigger bump. So I had no clue it would make the amount of money it made. I'm not that smart. I'm
sure a lot of people would disagree with that.
It was one of those things that just happened, and really the most I got out of it was just, okay, I'm in the game now.
I'm married to the good life. I said I'd be a good wife when I put on this ring. A little rock, yeah.
Number one from 1986, there's Reba, who back then actually went by Reba and McIntyre. It's Little Rock, a song co-written by Pat McManus, country radio personality Jerry House, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero.
I know you are traveling. You travel all over the place. You've been going up to Canada quite a bit, going up to New York.
Yeah, I've always performed, and recently these songwriter shows that I do have kind of reached a tipping point where the general public is finally getting it that, there are these people and they're called songwriters, and they write the songs that maybe Tim McGraw sings or Kenny Chesney sings. Well, who are these people? Well, we are these people, and we write the songs, and when we perform, when I perform, I give them a story behind the song, and I play the song as it was written, how I heard it in my head. So there just seems to be, really seems to be an uptick in how many people want to see these kind of shows. So I'm doing them, and it's killing me.
Number one from 1996, there's Ricochet with Daddy's Money, a tune written by Mark D. Sanders, Mark Seskind, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero. You're listening to Behind the Hits, where great country songwriters talk about great country songs. On today's Best Country, proudly broadcasting on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager, and my guest this week is Bob Dipiero, who I caught up with at the Music Row offices of Love Monkey Music.
You may be the only songwriter I've interviewed thus far that has the old Academy Award nomination under his belt now.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. My dad always said he used to say I had delusions of grandeur. If you've got delusions of grandeur, you think all this stuff's going to happen, Well, it did, but I never thought that would happen. I mean, to be in the same sentence with Randy Newman or Alan Menken, I mean, those are the true giants of the business. And it's really taken me a while to really sit with that and feel what it feels like, you know, to have a Academy Award nod and a Golden Globes, you
Sure.
know. And that just shows, you just never know what's going to happen with songs. You know, we were just banging a song out trying to get into a movie.
And so you guys didn't finish the song and say, we think that one will be nominated for an Academy Award.
I didn't. Maybe they did.
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought, okay, are you happy now? Because that song went through so many changes and metamorphoses, you know. Because we were writing for that movie, and we were dealing with the music supervisor on that movie, and they were very, very exacting in what they wanted that song to portray and sound like. And so they would just give us this information. We just kept on trying to craft that song to fit that scene and that whole idea. So, man, we were just trying to get it done. I don't think I said, well, this is it. I've got an Academy Award nomination. I didn't think that.
It's a four-letter word, a place you go to heal your hurt. Home.
There's Gwyneth Paltrow from the motion picture soundtrack of Country Strong and Coming Home, a tune co-written by my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero, and a song which earned an Oscar and a Golden Globe nomination, and which Gwyneth performed live at this year's Academy Awards. You're listening to Behind the Hits, where great country songwriters talk about great country songs on today's best country. Proud and honored to be broadcasting on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager, and I want to thank each and every one of our men and women in uniform around the world for keeping us safe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up on Behind the Hits with my guest, Bob Dipiero.
She don't tell me to.
Take me as I am.
The Southern boy.
But right now, it's another number one. This one recorded by George Strait in 1996. It's Blue Clear Sky on Behind the Hits.
You swear you've had enough. You're ready to give up. Out of the blue clear sky. Out of the blue clear sky.
From 1996, another number one song for George Strait and another number one co-written by my guest this week, Bob Dipiero.
You know, on your website, and this is just crazy. You've got your number one hits, and then you have your singles and album cuts. This is itty bitty print, and it goes on for 3 pages, Bob.
Well, you know what, man? I think what you hear on Music Row is this. You're only as good as your next song. You know, I'm thrilled to have 3 pages worth of songs, and I stopped to acknowledge it and smell the air. You know, Wow, that's really great. That's awesome. Well, that's impressive. Yes, it is impressive. But I realize that as a creative commercial songwriter, it's not what's on those pages that's going to keep my career going. It's what I'm going to write after I'm done talking with you. So to me,
Never rest on your laurels.
if you don't want to rest on your laurels.
Yeah.
I always say, you know, sometimes I just think I'm going to claim victory.
Yeah.
Just sign out, you know.
I win.
God, I win. I win. Beat this.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Baby, don't turn out the light. Take me as I am.
From 1994, there's Faith Hill and Take Me As I Am, a #1 song written by Karen Staley, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero. You're listening to Behind the Hits, where great country songwriters talk about great country songs. On today's Best Country, proudly broadcasting on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager, reminding you that you can get all sorts of cool songwriter links, as well as my complete and unedited songwriter interviews at BehindTheHitsRadio.com. Not really a commercial.
Well, Tony's Family Restaurant's the restaurant for you. The food's great, the folks are friendly, and they'll always wear their shoes.
Have you ever gone out to eat hungry for a satisfying meal, only to have your appetite ruined by the dirty, bare feet of your server? Doesn't that gross you out and make you want to puke? Well, you'll be glad to know that since 1987, the fine folks at Tony's Family Restaurant have been committed to not only serving you a fine meal at a reasonable price, but to doing so with their shoes on. So, they won't be picking up your salad croutons with their toes or walking through your lasagna or anything like that. And they won't play with your food either, although you're welcome to. And if they do, say, tap dance on a Salisbury steak or juggle your french fries, the meal's on us. Tony's Family Restaurant, open 7 days a week at the corner of 4th and McMurray, where when we say shoes and shirts required, we mean us too.
Well, Tony's Family Restaurant's the restaurant for you. The food's great, the folks are friendly, and they'll always wear their shoes.
Every now and then on my way home, I stop at a spot where the wildflowers grow, and I pick a few, 'cause she don't tell me to. Every now and then on my way home, I stop at a spot where the wildflowers grow, and I pick a few. Yes, I do.
From 2005, there's Montgomery Gentry and She Don't Tell Me To, a top 5 hit written by Tom Shapiro, Rivers Rutherford, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero. I'm your host, Ty Hager, and I spoke with Bob at Love Monkey Music on Music Row.
How long does it take you to complete a song? Do you try to have something workable, something that you're going to build on the next time with each session?
You know, I wish I could say yes. But the answer is lately usually no. It's, you know, if I've got a page of song titles that I kind of keep up with, and if I have an idea that I think is worthwhile, I'll bring it up, or a little guitar riff. But lately, it's pretty much just trying to be almost like a musical chef. You know, like catch of the day. What's out there that I can turn into something that's a really good song? And a lot of it grows out of just sitting down with co-writers, co-writers just say, well, what's going on? What's happening in your life? You know?
And then you get to talking, and something comes into the conversation, and you're with another songwriter, so you're both listening for that.
The Sonny Sweeney song that is in the top 10, Table Away, that came from Karen Rochelle and I talking with Sonny, who we wrote the song with. And, you know, Sonny is a serious Texas girl, and all that means, I mean, she's the real deal. And she's talking about her life and things that are going on in her romantic life. And that whole little vignette that's in that song happened to her. You know, so we just turned it into a song.
I bet you never guess who I saw tonight. A table away.
The debut single from Sonny Sweeney, From a Table Away, a tune written by Sonny, Karen Rochelle, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero, and the first debut single by a solo female artist to hit the top 10 since Taylor Swift did it back in 2007. And it seems like Taylor ended up doing okay. You're listening to Behind the Hits on today's Best Country on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager, and words cannot convey the great appreciation we have for all of our men and women in uniform listening in 178 countries and on 150 Navy ships around the world on AFN. Now, Bob, I know a lot of writers say that a great song is not written, it's rewritten, but sometimes it seems they just fall out of the sky and almost write themselves. Have you had many of those experiences?
Well, I've had a couple like that, but the most recent one was Tim McGraw, the song I wrote with Tom Douglas called Southern Voice. Tom had this title, Southern Voice, and we were trying to figure out what that meant. It sounds good, like how are we going to write this? And we just started thinking about, Tom and I both read a lot. So we started talking about, well, what's Southern? Well, here's some Southern authors, and we started talking about them. Well, how about Southern football coaches? Well, there's, Bear Bryant. Oh, I can't forget him. How about rockers who came from the South? Well, Tom Petty came from Florida. And we started getting these names, and the verses just started, of Southern Voice, just really kind of coming together, almost like automatic writing. And then I have a place down in Florida on the Gulf Coast, and it's about 2 hours away from this place called Apalachicola, which is the last of the unknown Florida. It's old Florida, and I love it. And I love that word, and I always wanted to use it in a song, so we threw that into the soup, and it was just one of those memorable songwriting days.
Let's listen to a little bit of the original work tape on that one. And Bob, this is about as rough as it gets.
Hank Williams sang it, number 3 drove it, Chuck Berry twanged it, Will Faulkner wrote it, Aretha Franklin sold it, Dolly Parton graced it, Rosa Parks wrote it, Scarlett O'Chase it.
Hard to believe, but that was Tim McGraw's 23rd #1 hit, Southern Voice, a song written by Tom Douglas, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero.
I wanted to ask you real quickly, I read your short story on your website.
Yeah.
How much of a kick do you get out of, after all the songs that you've written, do you really enjoy just sitting down by yourself and writing prose?
I had a great time writing that story.
It's a funny story.
And I would love to give it another shot. It's a different muscle you use. You're kind of really, you've got a lot more space to invent a bunch of lives, and
you've got more than 3 minutes to resolve it.
More than 3 minutes. So I had a lot of fun writing that, and I'm looking forward to doing more when I get a spare minute.
And that's called Cheeseburger Boogie.
Cheeseburger Boogie. It's it's a little bit of truth, a little bit of fiction, and a little bit of hillbilly music.
So do you keep track, or do you have somebody that does it for you? Can you immediately, in your head, say, this, out of all the hundreds of songs, was the biggest?
Not really. I don't. I mean, it goes back to, if I kept track, that's all I do is keep track.
Sure.
It is surprising, though. I mean, what's the biggest? To me, the biggest is the song that's had the biggest impact on just the general population, people who know the song and respond to the song and have it mean something to them. Now I've got some songs that have made a great deal of money that I always thought, I wonder why everybody likes this song, But, it's okay. I just write them. I let other people decide.
I woke up this morning head felt dense. I splashed it with water, trying to make it make sense. I stumbled to the kitchen, she was standing at the sink. All she had to do was just give me that wing. Give me that wing. All she gotta do is just give me that wing.
The most performed country song of the entire year 1994, that's Neil McCoy and Wink, a tune written by Tom Shapiro, and my guest this week on Behind the Hits, Bob Dipiero.
I love to do it. I'm writing with newer, younger writers. It's very inspiring to learn new and different ways to write, you know. And I just told my buddy Craig Wiseman this Sunday, I said, man, you just got to realize, as long as you learn, you earn.
Exactly.
You know, as long as I don't stay back in 1996 or back in 2005 or even back in 2010, and as long as I continue rolling with what's the present, I've got to admit it still remains mysterious to me. You know, every writing session is totally different from the other, and every writer has their type of style, how they go about things. But sometimes those great songs just seem to appear, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do is get out of the way of it, not try and mess it up, just kind of bring it into the real world.
Well, Bob Dipiero, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm
and
glad to do it.
Looking forward to the next hit.
Thank you very much, man.
And that is going to wrap it up for Behind the Hits on today's Best Country. Incredibly proud to be broadcasting on the American Forces Radio Network. I'm your host, Ty Hager. I want to thank my very special guest, Bob Dipiero, for inviting me to his Music Row offices at Love Monkey Music. And I'd also like to thank Bob's lovely and talented assistant, Penny Everhard, for making my visit so enjoyable. Bob's website is lovemonkeymusic.com. Coming up next week on Behind the Hits.
And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. I run to you. So completely I love the way you love me.
It's hit songwriter Victoria Shaw on the next Behind the Hits. Behind the Hits is produced by Bass Hackers Productions in association with Jagger Payton Radio, online at jaggerpayton.com.
Okay, then.
Co-produced and engineered by Steve Goody at Pitch Perfect Recording in Nashville. Check them out on the web at pitchperfectrecording.com.
Okay, then.
Theme music by Rebecca Kraft, produced by Steve Goody.
Okay, then.
Post-production assistance by Bill Levingston at Automatic Productions.
Okay, then.
And don't forget to check out our website where you can get my complete songwriter interviews, cool songwriter links, and more. It's BehindTheHitsRadio.com. And now for the legal stuff.
Behind the Hits is copyright 2011 Bass Ackwards Productions. Any unauthorized reproduction will earn you a noogie. Any resemblance to persons living or dead is either unfortunate or just a coinkydink, but still fun to do at parties. No animals were harmed during the making of Behind the Hits unless you count that Ramalama Ding Dong, and we don't even know what that means.